Good morning, dear student. Today, the entire country is locked down, and in this stage, we are going to take our this digital class, and I am going to teach you a topic of subject biology for class 10th student. And before the beginning of this topic, today it's very important to tell the students that what is important for their safety and security in this pandemic stage, that the whole universe is facing this pandemic corona attack, and in this stage we should take safety measures for our daily routine. In our daily routine we should give at least 15 to 20 minutes for the exercise. We should save 15-20 minutes for our daily exercise. What will happen since this coronavirus disease is spreading through person to person? Social distancing is very important, but with that it is also very important to develop immunity system of our body, to develop defense system of our body. We should develop the resistance power in our body. For that you will have to do 15-20 minute exercise regularly, like inhale, exhale, which will bring immunity power in your body. And we have to think for the development of antibodies in our body, and for that we will start some exercise daily. Early in the morning you should save 15-20 minutes for exercise. It will develop your immunity system, it will develop your antiviral protein interferon, which is very important in our body, which is fighting against any attack. We will have to break the chain of this coronavirus, and by doing exercise we can also develop the immunity power in our body. And especially in this we will think about our infant child who is very susceptible to this corona disease. Old people above 60 years of age, they can also face problem. So it is very important that in this stage we will take care about our own body and our family members, our neighbors. Now, coming to the biology subject, I would like to start the respiration in human being. In respiratory system, that the lungs is doing the great role in our respiration process. I will be teaching the human respiratory system. I will be teaching the types of respiration here. Now I would like to begin with the respiration. As you know that respiration is a catabolic process. What happened? In the respiration, the glucose is broken down into the carbon dioxide, water, and it releases the energy. It is a catabolic process. As you know that the catabolic process of bigger molecules breaks into smaller one, and that happens in our cell. So when we are going to start the respiration process in our body, we must differentiate between breathing and respiration. Breathing is not respiration. Breathing is external process. It is simple process, and breathing, we are taking air in, we are releasing air out. Simple. Only this is breathing. It is not respiration. But the respiration is cellular process. It is the complete oxidation of a glucose. You must be knowing that in the respiration, our glucose reaching into the blood, and then it breaks and release the energy. So the respiration, the cellular respiration, is a catabolic process, and before beginning the cellular respiration, Very first, I will tell you difference between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. In general discussion, in general lecture, I will tell you the aerobic respiration, when oxygen is present, that is called aerobic respiration. When in the presence of glucose is going to be oxidized, it is called aerobic respiration. Clear? Aerobic respiration means it is occurring in the presence of oxygen, and anaerobic respiration, it is occurring in absence of oxygen. Now, in aerobic respiration, second step, that it is complete breakdown of glucose, and anaerobic respiration, it is incomplete breakdown of glucose. In the aerobic respiration, energy is released in larger amount, and here in the aerobic respiration 38 ATP is released, and on the other hand in the anaerobic respiration only 2 ATP, it means lesser energy is released. When we are talking difference between these, we must also think for the equation of the respiratory process. How does this equation takes place? Like the first step of equation, that this glucose breaking down into the pyruvic acid, and then this pyruvic acid will be broken down into different materials, and for that there are three steps after the pyruvic acid formation. O2 is absent. When O2 is absent, that would be simple thing, that would be anaerobic respiration. And when it occurs in the muscles, lactic acid is formed. The muscular fatigue you have heard when we are doing extra exercise during the play, during any games, during running, during exercise, the lactic acid is deposited. That is called anaerobic respiration. And one another anaerobic respiration, when it occurs in the yeast, the ethyl alcohol is formed. Carbon dioxide is released, and energy is generated. In both the cases, anaerobic fermentation takes place, ethanol is formed. In the muscle, lactic acid is formed. And on the other hand, when we are talking O2 present, you will see it is occurring in the mitochondria, and what is generated? Energy is formed. In the aerobic respiration, when we start from this, you look at this, glucose is converted into cytosol. This is common pathway up to this. And after this, in the anaerobic respiration, look at this, in the yeast, ethyl alcohol is formed. In muscles, lactic acid is formed, that is called muscular fatigue. And on the other hand, when 38 ATP is generated, respiration, as I told you, more energy is formed and complete 38 ATP is generated. For explaining this, I have prepared a chart for my days today. Now, when you look at this, the breakdown of glucose by various pathways, you can see the glucose start breaking in an absence of oxygen, and very first this glucose is broken down into pyruvic acid. Got my point? And it occurs in the cytoplasm, and this process is called glycolysis. So you have to note it down that what is glycolysis? Where does this takes place? You can easily look at this. Glucose is going to be converted into pyruvic acid. Look at this. And this is occurring in the cytoplasm, and this process, the conversion of glucose into 2-pyruvic acid, is called glycolysis. The graph chart you can prepare in your fair notebook in the respiration process. And there are two types of anaerobic respiration. You can see in absence of oxygen, it is occurring in the yeast, and ethanol, ethyl alcohol is formed, and only 2 ATP is released in this anaerobic respiration. Now moving to the second anaerobic respiration, when you are moving to when it occurs in muscles, in human body muscles, you will see this process is called muscular fatigue, and in this the lactic acid is formed. What we do to release this lactic acid from the muscles, we should relax, we should go open to the air, and we can release our lactic acid from the body, and after 30 minutes or after 1 hour, you will feel there will be total release of lactic acid from the body. And in these two types, the energy is only 2 ATP. The lesser amount is amount of energy is released. You can see here, look at this. Now, what I am going to tell you, the third process, which is very, very important, that this 38 ATP is complete oxidation of glucose is taking place. Look at this. It means the 38 ATP is generated, and it is occurring in the mitochondria. Important line for you, that this aerobic respiration taking place in the mitochondria, carbon dioxide is released, water is released, and 38 ATP is generated. So when we are understanding these, the complete breakdown of glucose by various pathways, it is very important to understand that this is a chart, a graph for complete presentation of this oxidation of glucose. When we started this lecture, I was explaining that in our human body, there is human respiratory system, there is organ of the human respiratory system which is playing important role, and that is the alveoli, which is responsible for exchange of O2 and CO2 in our body, that would definitely play a vital role in our exchange of gases in the lungs. So before reaching to the human respiratory system, the diagram of human respiratory system, I would like to clear the difference between breathing and respiration. I am going to explain that breathing is an external process, only inhale and exhale of gases are taking place. So in breathing also there is one small topic. When we take air in, our diaphragm shift upward, the volume of lungs increases, air moves inside, and when we move our air outside the body, the volume decreases and air pushed out, and we release our air outside the body. That is called exhalation. Inhalation. And exhalation. This breathing is not respiration. This is physical exercise, my dear student. And in the breathing, it is divided in two types. And what will be the shape size of the lungs, what will be the volume of the lungs, I would like to explain in my own way. You can easily compare the lungs volume. In inhalation, the air is moving inside, the intercostal muscle contract and diaphragm shifting downside, the volume increases. When the volume increases of the lungs, air pressure will decrease and air will move inside. What I am telling you, the diaphragm shift downward. You can see this is diaphragm. Here diaphragm is shifting upward. The volume of lungs is decreasing. And what will happen when the volume will be less in the lungs? The air pressure will increase and air moves outside. So in exhalation, air is moving outside and the air, because of the high air pressure in the lungs and because of when the intercostal muscle relax, the volume decreases, air pressure increases and air is moving outside. So when there will be a question that write the difference between inhalation and exhalation, it's a very simple breathing process, external process, and in this the lungs volume increases, the diaphragm shifting downside, the volume is increasing and air moves inside. We inhale air. Because of the intercostal muscle contract, volume increases and the air pressure moves inside. Opposite to this, diaphragm shift upward, volume of the lungs is going to be decreased, the air pressure will increase and air will move outside. So when we will be completing this breathing, we will have to explain this breathing, inhalation and exhalation, by these two diagrams, which will increase your reasoning and it will give you complete knowledge. You will also remember the name of the lungs muscles are intercostal muscle, external intercostal muscle and internal intercostal muscle. The story start. So this costal muscle, after contraction and after expansion of these intercostal muscle, we will be able to understand in this breathing method how it happens, how inhalation happens, how exhalation happens. So today I explain breathing and cellular respiration. In these breathing and cellular respiration, there are important points and there are some important questions you will write down for your assignment. You can take 4 questions from this lecture. Where does this takes place? What is the glycolysis? Okay, what is difference between aerobic and anaerobic process? What is the mechanism of breathing? So I am going to write 4 questions for you for today's assignment. Number 1, differentiate between aerobic and anaerobic process. Anaerobic respiration process. Anaerobic. Number 2. What is the site of glycolysis? Differentiate between breathing and respiration. Differentiate between breathing and respiration. And the last step, I will ask that write the different pathway of complete breakdown of glucose. Pathway of breakdown of Thanks dear student. That's all for today's lecture, and I hope that you will prepare your question, you will write your answer in your fair notebook. Thanks.